All right, you guys, so earlier in my post, I was talking about frosting a cake with a soft filling. This is my lemon bar cake, making it for a friend. But one of the things we did in class last night is we were doing our lemon ricotta olive oil cakes with that strawberry compote and the mascarpone frosting, was we didn't use a disc. So I thought I'd show you just how I did that in class. So if you don't have a disc or an extra cardboard, that usually we put one underneath and you can put one on top, kind of like the acrylic disc. So with this one, the first thing I want to do, rather than start with the sides like I normally do with my acrylic disc, I want to start with the top. And I'm going to add frosting to the top and level the top just by using my offset icing spatula. And you've got to make sure you always get eye level with your cakes. And you can see as I'm turning it, like it is not, maybe I'll change the angle so it's a little bit more eye level for you to see the cake. But the goal with your offset icing spatula is it's not tilted on the cake at all. Like this corner to that edge is touching the cake. That way we don't get any kind of dome in the center. And as we push the frosting out over the edge of our cake, we're just creating a really flat surface here. And then we can get eye level, spin it around, and make sure it looks really even on the top. And notice I did come over the edge just a little bit. Now I'm gonna fill in my sides. So now my goal is, even if my sides are a little bit uneven, I wanna make sure my straight icing spatula always looks straight as I'm applying my frosting. So I am right-handed. I always come over to my left side here, and I'm going to just try to keep a really straight line. Do you see how flat my icing spatula is to the cake? And I use that straight icing spatula. This is why I love my 6-inch blade here, because it goes all the way from the top of the cake to the bottom of the cake, and I can always make sure that looks straight to my naked eye. So after you've frosted all the way around the cake, you need to get eye level again, not just to see the top, but to see the sides. That's gonna give you the best angle to see where you need to fill in. Like I can tell I'm a little bit narrowed on that side. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit more just on the bottom. But give it a spin so you can see the cake at every angle. And just kind of fill it in. So before you even scrape, and it's the same thing with this, with like the acrylic disc, you wanna make sure the cake looks straight even before you start to scrape with your scraper. All right, so now with your clean cake scraper, we're gonna start over here. Picture it like a clock. So I'm starting at 1 o'clock, and my eye is always on my scraper. I'm gonna try to show you the angle. I would say it's about a 45-degree angle. Hopefully you guys can see that. We don't wanna be perpendicular. We don't wanna be too close to the cake. Perpendicular means it's just gonna scrape and it's not gonna smooth out. Too close to the cake means the surface of your scraper is just gonna collect all this frosting, and all of a sudden you have all those holes, and it just like pulls at the frosting. So always clean this off as we go around. But my eye, what's so important is that my eye is always on my scraper to make sure that's standing straight no matter what the shape of my cake is. Right now I can see I'm not even touching some of the top of my cake. That's okay because my scraper is straight. All right, so after one time around, you can kind of see these areas that I needed more frosting. So I think I was okay on the bottom half, but now I'll just take my frosting and blend it in. You don't need a lot, right? Like my gaps weren't huge. I'm just giving this enough that I have frosting to blend in to the bottom half as I scrape again. So again, my hand was at like 1 o'clock. My eye is always over here on the scraper, making sure that that is standing straight. And then my left hand comes around and goes under my right. That way I only have one line rather than turn, 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 turn. We've got that one line. So I still have a little bit to fill in. And it's really important on how you hold this, okay? So my hands, equal pressure along the whole scraper, but I'm not clenched. My hand is not tight. It's a really light touch to the scraper, but it's also a light touch as you go around the cake. We really, like after that first scrape, you're not trying to take away a lot of frosting. You're just trying to smooth out the cake and any bumps that you might have or any holes. And so you're really going around it quite lightly. Like that's not that much that I'm taking off. Remember, always look for one good side, and once you have it, you're good to go. I think I'll scrape it one more time, and then I'm gonna show you what to do with the top of this cake so we can clean up those edges. There's a couple ways you can do it. And all right, so now with this raw edge that we have going on, a couple things you can do to clean this up and make this faux sharp edge like we would be using the acrylic disc. So one thing you can do is now stick the cake in the freezer for like a good 15-20 minutes. And then you'll take a knife and you'll literally just cut that raw edge away. The other thing you can do is grab your offset icing spatula and we'll just drag this in just like we did when we're doing a crumb coat. We're just gonna let the top catch on to our offset icing spatula. And we wanna clean this up every time, but it's just gonna grab onto that. And just drag that in. You don't wanna ever like angle it because then you'll lose this faux sharp edge that we've created. So start away from you and bring it towards you. Okay, so I've gone around the whole cake. I'm just gonna do it one more time in some areas, just very gently grab onto that edge and just flatten it just a little bit more. I'm gonna add a little piping on the top of this cake. You could do the drip over these edges, extra step of letting the disc freeze in the freezer. We've got all these great edges just like that. Not bad, right? Without the disc. Okay, feel like you guys can do this. All right, so my edges all done. I added a little piping. I'm gonna put some of my extra lemon curd on top just to fill in, add some bright color, but pretty easy to do it without the disc. And then you have all my other tips in my post from this morning that will tell you exactly how to stack and fill a cake with a soft filling so you've got great structure, things don't wobble, and we've got lots of tips in that post, also on IGTV and on my Instagram and on my blog. It's all there for you. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye guys.